These people will pay you a good amount, even if you just have the minimum amount of knowledge, because it's way more than they do. Wow. So I've been cleaning out my house recently and trying to sell some stuff. I had my snowboard up for about 5 days, and this dude saw that nobody was giving it any clicks, no love, and so he offered me about half price. And to me, I just need to get it out, but for him, he probably saw it as an opportunity. That's the snowboard right there. Then I looked into his profile, and it looks like he's been doing this with thousands of other products. So when he comes by, I'm gonna ask him if I can interview him so that I can get you guys the secrets and see if this is worth a solid side hustle for you. Stay tuned. So this video is going to be all about side hustles, and specifically side hustles that people are actually doing and that are actually making substantial money. Let's check back in with the snowboard, homie. Bummer. The dude did come by, grabbed the snowboard, told me it was a side hustle, but he didn't really want to be videoed, which I understand. He did also say that he makes enough profit doing this just on the weekends for a couple hours that he's able to fund a trip to Canada. Next year he's planning on going to Japan with all of the profits. He said the worst thing that you could do right now is just take the wage that they're giving and just be okay with that and try to save it. You're never going to get ahead with that, and I definitely agree with that. So when I asked him for advice and how other people can make as much money as he's making, he said it's super simple and that he actually has multiple friends doing the exact same thing and making thousands of dollars per year working a couple hours on the weekend. The first thing that he had said is that you want to find what type of platform you're going to use. Are you going to use OfferUp or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace? He said that you can use a bunch of different ones, but you have to understand the language and also what people are saying and doing on each platform. Some people will be more patient on certain platforms. Some people just want to get their stuff out quickly on other platforms, and you have to understand that. The next thing that he said that you need to do in order to be successful is not just to buy and sell anything, but to figure out a niche. For him, his was specifically snowboarding, but it was a bunch of outdoor sports. And the reason why you want to find that niche is because then you can research all about every little piece. You can understand when the seasons are, you can understand when things are hot. You can also really figure out how much stuff is actually worth. If you're just buying and selling every little thing, then you're going to know a little bit about some things, but you're not going to really deeply understand that. That's why this guy knew that my snowboard at the price that I had put up was a solid buy for him, because he knew how much he was going to make right away by flipping it. And I'm okay with that. I respect the hustle. The next thing that he said to do, stay consistent. He said there's going to be times where you go through a drought, or there's going to be times when people won't sell to you at the price that you want. He said just stick with it and it'll come. The fourth thing that he said was to make sure that you save the actual money that you are making through all of these transactions. He said it's going to be easy for you to see some extra money in your bank account and just go out and go blow it all on some movies or some clothes or something. But he said have a goal in mind and then just save that money. For him, it's traveling. He's been to multiple countries off of just saving the profit that he makes from these sales. The last thing he said is that this isn't the funnest thing in the world. It's somewhat inconvenient, and so if you can just do the work, you're gonna make it out ahead. He said a lot of people start, they'll do 2 or 3 weekends in a row, and then they'll just fall off because it's not that much fun to drive from place to place or to deal with people. And those are the secrets for that type of side hustle. Now let's talk about another side hustle, the one where my student in my class right now is making over $10,000 a month, and she just started this year. So this one does have to do with social media, but not in the way that everyone else is telling you how to do a side hustle. You don't need to have hundreds of thousands of followers, or even any followers really, to be able to do this. So all of you watching this are probably pretty good on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, things that you very much take for granted. But if you see somebody who's 40, 50, 60 years old trying to use these platforms, without anybody telling you, I'm sure that you could tell that a 50-year-old posted this post. And the problem is that those 50-year-olds are the ones that are owning the businesses, but they're trying to communicate to you and to me and to younger but they just are disconnecting because they don't know how to post correctly. So what these companies are doing is they're hiring for a social media manager or an email manager, a communications specialist or something like that. So the genius thing that my student started doing was she started to see, okay, they're willing to pay $35,000 a year to this person to basically manage their social media and any communications. She started to see that that isn't a full-time job. It doesn't have to be a full-time job, but they're willing to pay about $3,000 a month for somebody to manage this. So what she did is she looked up the job description on Indeed or LinkedIn or something like that. She applied for the job, and in the interview, instead of them interviewing her, she brought to them a proposal. So basically she proposed, I'll take over your social media, I'll do all of this, you pay me as a contractor, so then you get some tax savings, and you don't have to have me as an employee, so you don't have to pay me benefits or anything like that. I'll just take a retainer every month for $3,000, and I will provide to you the things that you need. 10 Instagram posts and 15 TikToks and whatever. And it worked. She got one client right away. Then she did this a couple more times throughout the months, trying to find another company. And she had 5 or 6 interviews where they just said, no, we don't want that. We want an actual employee sitting in our cubicles. Well, that wasn't for her, and I'm glad that she didn't do that. And then recently, she just picked up 2 more accounts. One account's paying her another $4,000 a month, and another account's paying her another $3,000. She's literally making $10,000 a month to manage different social medias, write emails, and make their TikTok something that actually looks like a 20-year-old is doing it rather than a 50-year-old. And the thing is, the businesses are so happy with her because they saved money in taxes. They're also getting this super creative spin on what it is that they wanted in the first place, was just communication to go out to people that were exactly like her. So think about something that you're very good at, that you like to do, and start to think, how can I then leverage those skills and be an asset to a company without having to spend 8 hours a day in this company and just making an hourly wage? That's why real estate is another one that's just so attractive, because you're not spending any specific amount of hours. You're not working from 9 to 5 and making $20 an hour. You're working however hard you need to, however long you need to, in order to make the sale. So other ways that I know for a fact that people are making over $1,000 every single month on a side hustle basis. They're either full-time students, or they're full-time students with a part-time job and this side hustle, or they're people who aren't students, but they do have a full-time job, and then they also have a part-time side hustle. The first one is if you have any type of skill within video, you need to be leveraging that. People are finding out that they need to communicate in ways that are much more engaging and that you need to build trust quickly. So people need to see their face. The problem is that if somebody just puts up a camera and then starts videoing themselves and the lighting is bad, or the audio is bad, or even just the cuts and things are hard to watch, we're so trained at watching YouTube or TikTok that we're just gonna skip by that really quickly. And so in order for it to work for that person, they're gonna need somebody with some video skills, whether that be just being able to do basic edits in iMovie or Final Cut Pro or something like that. These people will pay you a good amount, even if you just have the minimum amount of knowledge, because it's way more than they do. The next one is one that I always talk about, and it's just being able to convenience somebody. You're taking away an inconvenience. One thing that one of my students does that's just absolutely genius is that he provides rides for people to and from the airport, or to and from the train station, just to and from places where people don't want to keep their car overnight for a long period of time. And it's going to save them much more money to pay him to drive them rather than to have their car just sit. It's also going to be peace of mind that they have somebody coming for them, because while Uber is really nice, and for most of the time you can get a car right away, those times when you don't get a car right away, or if a car's coming for 10 minutes and then it just randomly cancels on you, that's a stressful time, especially if you have to be somewhere at a certain time, like specifically an airport. Now, obviously with gas rising and things like that, you have to make sure and understand your expenses. But he told me that he makes an easy $500 every single weekend, taking people to and from the airport specifically. The last one that I'm going to talk about here is going to be one that's very familiar and one that I'm sure you hear a lot of, but it's going to have a little bit of a twist. And I want you guys to think about this from a business perspective rather than just a baby side hustle. So when you do something like mow somebody's lawn or clean solar panels or something of that nature, That's great. You could make $20 in half an hour. But what I want you to do is take it one step further and figure out, how can I get somebody to pay me a certain amount and then I pay somebody else part of that, and then I don't have to do any of that work, but I still make a little bit. For example, lawn care companies do this all the time. They tell the homeowner, I'll get your lawn mowed for $50. Then the company pays an employee to mow that lawn for $20. Now that employee made $20, you made $30. And you didn't even have to do any of the work other than setting up the deal itself. So if you can get 3 or 4 of your friends or your little brother's friends to mow lawns or to wash windows or wash cars, and they're making 75% of it and you're making just a little cut on top, you just go out and be the businessman or woman, and you'll be making so much more money doing far less work and saving yourself a lot of time to be able to do other things like have a regular job or run somebody's social media. Let's get to those side hustles, y'all, because gas is not coming down anytime soon.